but they're not overnight success stories, they're 10-year overnight success stories. It's just when we finally see them and we're made aware of them. When my babies were 1 and 2, I was diagnosed with cancer. So that was a really crazy journey, to be honest. I really believe in our business and really believe in what we're building, and I think that's incredibly important. To have a 1-income household just isn't sustainable and realistic for 99% of the families today. I want to build a business that changes the world as we know it.
I'm Hannah Everson-Frost, and this is Somehow Managing, the podcast for people with big ambitions raising small humans. Today's guest was diagnosed with cancer while raising 2 young daughters, and she came out the other side determined to build something of her own. She co-founded Cress, a platform helping schools resell pre-loved uniform, putting money back in parents' pockets and doing some good along the way. This is Kat Molyneux on building a business with your husband, while having it all is a myth worth killing off, and the one non-negotiable she protects no matter how busy and chaotic every day gets. Kat, welcome to Somehow Managing. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to hear more about your story today. There's a lot to it. Yeah. You are a mother of 2. You are a female founder of Cress, and you are a cancer survivor.
Correct.
Now that is a CV.
Triple whammy.
Triple whammy. And I'm so intrigued to hear more about your story. Like, we don't know each other. So, no. We've met for the first time today. And I'm very keen to hear all of it, you know, warts and all, how you've managed and how you've come to sit on here today on this podcast. So let's get into it. Just tell me from the very beginning how it started for you.
Okay, so I guess first and foremost, I'm a mum. So I've got 2 girls, age 5 and 7, which is, chaos in itself. And before I started my own business, I worked in the mental health sector. So I worked for some really amazing charities and hospitals, and I was supporting young people and children across Manchester. And then when my babies were 1 and 2, I was diagnosed with cancer. So that was a really crazy journey, to be honest. And I was ill for quite a while before I was diagnosed, but it was the classic, you've just had a baby, you're tired because of that, you're just stressed. And getting to the point of diagnosis was in itself a really long, drawn out process. And on the back of that, it sounds really cliche, but I just thought, I want to build something myself. I want to create a great business with purpose about something that I'm passionate about and create a real legacy for my kids as well, something that they can feel proud of, that I can feel proud of. And also working in the mental health sector at that point was probably a little bit too much for me. Like, I was going through my own trauma, and I was like, I can't be the best person in this role for these young people whilst I'm handling my own stuff. So I still wanted to work with children or, have a business that benefited them. And ultimately we started Cress, which main goal is to improve the lives of children. So we are a tech business. We provide a platform for schools to retail their pre-loved uniform. Ultimately, it's providing access for affordable uniforms year round for parents. So money that goes back into the parents' pockets. It's raising funds for the school, and it's better for the planet.
I mean, when you meet somebody that you just think, what a good human being. That's the sense I get.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You really deserve that. And I think, a lot of people go into business and go into launching something of their own for various reasons: financial freedom, more time. And those things clearly matter, especially if you've got 2 young children and a house to run. Yeah. But when you talk there about the benefits of the business you've launched, that is something else as well, isn't it? In terms of that satisfaction and being able to give back. And for somebody that's been through what you have been through as well, I think your perspective on the value you want to add to the world has changed, right?
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I guess they don't have to be mutually exclusive in my eyes. Like, it is a business. I do want to create financial freedom for myself and my family, but ultimately I want to do it the right way, something that I can feel proud of. yeah, like you say, people start businesses for different reasons, and all of those are valid. This is just something that I was passionate about.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I've obviously been following the work of Cress for a while through Carl, through your husband. But tell me then a little bit about your family setup. So, who are you working alongside, and how big is the business, and what help have you got at home? A bit more detail about that.
So me and Carl set up the business with another co-founder, Jake, who lives in Liverpool. He's also just expecting his first child.
Lovely.
And we were talking earlier about that. So I guess that has its challenges in itself, working with your partner, because there is no switch off, right? And that's the same for everyone that runs a business. You never switch off, do you? You're always on your phone. You're always, even when you're on holiday, you're not really on holiday. But working with your partner has its own challenges. So the setup at home is very much, it's chaotic, really. We founded the business in 2022. I believe that's right. And yeah, at home, we've got 2 kids who are at the stages of being incredibly active with sports and everything. So I always think it would be easier if one of us had a business and one of us had a really stable job that was 9 to 5. And, just having 2 people in that entrepreneurial world is a real challenge. And you can walk into my house and it'll be an absolute tip, because we're just, trying to focus on the business at this point, and don't have it all.
No, absolutely. You can't.
No.
And, I feel quite strongly that we, as women now that are building businesses, should be communicating to the outside world, outside of our own initial bubbles, the reality of it all. Because there's just not enough content being really honest about that. It feels a bit polished, doesn't it? I mean, we don't have support nearby in terms of family. So my family in Nottingham, Carl's are in Cambridge. Like, it's not, we've got grandparents around the corner. I think the village is incredibly important. I've got an amazing group of friends who I've just known from, having babies at the same time, and they become your support network. But yeah, it's not easy, and I think we need to be more honest about that. And I think that will help more people. I think it's off-putting seeing a real kind of polished setup, and it just makes you feel like, well, it makes me feel like, oh, maybe I'm not doing a good enough job. It's really dangerous. And I think as well, particularly for mums, but also for dads, to be fair, there is a lot of this out there right now for both parents, but particularly for mums, when you are still recovering from birth, which can often be traumatic in itself, not probably having enough time to heal emotionally, physically, all of that before you have to go back to work. And then you are back at work and everything's just a bit different, isn't it? It's just a little bit different. I think the sooner we accept that and talk about that, the easier it then becomes to have a conversation about it. Because I am over seeing content of people saying, you can do it all. Because it's just not the reality for most people. No,
it's not. And most people are kind of juggling, even after school club. That in itself is an expense. And if you're growing a business, you've got to take that into account, haven't you? And try and, you're trying to scramble your way through and balance everything so you can build something great, but also afford to do that.
So talk to me a little bit about what you do for yourself, because you have just spoken there about 2 kids with loads of hobbies, sports, all of that, which come with a 5 and 7-year-old, birthday parties, all of that, I imagine at the weekend is all loads of fun.
Chaos.
When does Kat have time for Kat, and what do you do when you get those moments, if there are any?
Do you know what? What do we do for ourselves? I'm not sure. I think being a mum just means you're not the main character in your own life anymore, are you? Which is obviously what we signed up for. But I literally have 0 hobbies. I really love cooking and trying to, protect that time of cooking a nice meal. I find is very therapeutic. I get my nails done once every 4 weeks, but even that to me is stressful, because I'm sat there thinking, they need to hurry up because I've got so much to do, which is ridiculous, isn't it? It's crazy. So crazy. Like 45 minutes in a month. And I have a gym membership, which cost me about £150 every time I go to the gym of how much I use it.
I love that. Not I go to the gym. No, I have a gym membership.
I have a gym membership, but I need that. I'm like, I have a gym membership. I'm a member of a gym.
I have nails and I have a gym membership.
Yeah. But do you know what? It's about filling the time in the weekend with your village. So with your friends, the kids are off playing and they're having a nice time, and maybe you're having a nice glass of wine with one of the other mums that you're friends with. So
I think, you know what? It's very self-aware, and it's okay, and it's cool to admit you don't have any hobbies. I don't either. Like I don't, my enjoyment these days comes from very different things. I too have a gym membership. I do sometimes go, but my little one has swimming lessons at the same gym, so we do tend to spend a bit of time there at the weekend as a family. But the actual bit of me going to the gym and getting fit is like, that's not really a thing anymore. We almost go for something to do. There's a Cress there and all of that. But I don't really have any hobbies either, because I like to spend time with friends and family at the weekend. I also love my job, and I think that's something that people don't admit enough, is that I actually get a lot of pleasure out of my job. So it's not as if I feel like I'm just grinding all week and then I'm parenting and then that's it. Like I do actually quite enjoy my work, and you know, in some ways it is a hobby of mine.
I think that's the entrepreneurial mindset as well, isn't it? It's like, it's fine to work really late, and we shouldn't feel shamed about that. Like if we want to do that, then that's absolutely fine. Just very, very few hobbies and time for ourselves, but I'm fine with that. I think my kids at the moment are at a point where it's a bit more enjoyable taking them out. Like we are out of the baby stage, the toddler phase, so I can go out for a meal with the kids, and we can have conversations. Like my 7-year-old, she's got opinions on the world now, so that's nice. It's enjoyable now. I'm at that point.
You can socialise with the kids, which is lovely.
I mean, ultimately, I would love time away from them more, which I know sounds awful to say, but I think as mums, sometimes, for me anyway, I'm a better mum the less time I spend with them, because then I've got more patience and I'm more excited to spend that time with them. But ultimately, it's, you know, when's that going to happen?
Emma Grede talks about it quite a lot. I'm obsessed with her book and her podcast. And I think she talks about filling your own cup first. And she talks about these expectations she has of her husband and those around her. And, you know, she is a divisive character, because you can see her, what she says, riling people up. But the way I see that is that she's doing and saying what a lot of us are thinking.
Absolutely.
And if that rubs some people up the wrong way, that's okay. That usually means that your opinions are very valid, because not everyone's going to agree with everything you say. And I massively buy into a lot of her ethos around filling your own cup first.
Starting with yourself.
I'm not great at doing it. But I in my head, I agree with it. I agree with the sentiment of it. She talks about having expectations of her husband. I too agree with that sentiment, and I don't think that I should be doing this alone. And, you know, we get into that in a second. But I love the controversy of what she says. Because I think actually it's what most people are thinking.
I completely agree. I'm a massive fan of her and what she's done and where she's come from whilst being a mum. And the honesty is, you know, it's authentic, isn't it?
It's liberating.
Liberating. And we need to hear more of that.
Yeah, we do. I think it kind of leads me on to my question that I'm going to ask every guest this question, because I feel as if it's a topic that it came about because I posted a TikTok that went a bit viral, and my opinion on it versus the world's opinion on it, and all of that. But I want to ask you, Kat, what does the term default parent mean to you?
I would say, in my mind, default parent is the person that does most of the parental load, really. The person that, you know, ask your parent, or the school rings that parent, that's the parent they'll ring.
I agree. And I feel like that's my take on it also. And as I've dug into it a little bit more with through the TikTok post that I did and the comments, and I did try and engage with as much of it as I possibly could so I could learn. And also then lots of conversations I've had with parents since. I too would agree that for me it's about the load generally. But some of the reactions I got, almost quite confrontational, in that they were almost suggesting that it's wrong to not want to be the default parent, because my post talked about the fact that I refused to be the default parent. I set my stall out very early in that if we're doing this, we are doing it 50-50. My husband is a CGO. He's got a C-suite job, big responsibilities. I'm an MD, I have big
Yeah.
responsibilities, and I'm not sacrificing that, and he's not sacrificing his situation. So we've got to do this. It's a joint responsibility. And we had those conversations before we got pregnant.
Yeah.
And
which is really important, isn't it?
It is. And I felt like that was quite a normal thing to want and say. But the reaction from people was, why don't you want to be a default parent? That's what being a mother is. And I felt for a little while after I posted that, like, have I got this wrong? Should I feel differently about this? And I think people's take on it is that a default parent's more of the person that takes on all of the mental load, which I would agree to a certain extent is probably right. And in some ways that is the role I play. But both my husband and I, we have our own lanes.
Yeah.
And we play to our strengths. So how does that work in your household? How do you and Carl manage it?
Yeah, I guess just hearing you talk about that is pretty similar in our house. So Carl does a lot of the I guess the manual stuff. So he takes the kids to school every day and picks them up every day. And I do the kind of organisation of, you know, where we need to be and when, and have we got the food shopping and what are we having for tea over the next few days, and those kind of things. Is the swimming bag ready? And that is a lot. It's a lot to think about, isn't it, constantly? But he will do that, taking them to sports and picking them up. So often Carl will say to me, oh, what are we doing this weekend? Or where are we going? And a lot of people might see that as, oh, he's not playing his part, but we're really 50-50 in our house.
He's picking it up in other ways.
Yeah.
And I think that the key is really the communication part. And as long as you're both happy with that, even if you were doing the 90% of it and Carl was doing 10%, but you're happy with that, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's probably not sustainable, but I don't think enough people are talking about it and actually agreeing what their own terms are, because what I got the sense of when I did that post was that there was a lot of resentment in those comments. A lot of resentment.
Which is sad,
parents.
really, isn't it? Because a lot of the work that either parent does is invisible, but without it, the kind of family dynamic might crumble a little bit. Like if no one is doing those, you know, washing the swimming stuff and putting it back into the car for the next week, or, you know, organising school lunches or after school clubs, then that isn't something that's talked about. It's just done. But without it, you know what happens. So it's sad, really, that there is resentment there. But I understand why there would be if that's not communicated.
I agree. And I think I spoke to this exact point to an earlier guest, and I really love the sentiment of it. But I made a note following my car journey in this morning about something that I thought was really important to me. And I wrote, choosing who to parent with and bring children into the world with is one of the most important decisions that any adult will ever make, because
Absolutely.
I think there's all good and well talking about it, but you probably need to know deep down in your gut before you get into that situation about who that person is and whether they're going to show up for you and they are going to play the 50-50 role, and is this going to be a joint venture?
Yeah, but it's also hard, isn't it, to make that decision, because a lot of people, I'm sure most people will think, oh, this is who I want, this is who's going to do this, but the outcome isn't always necessarily the same, because everyone's journey in parenthood is so different, and how people take to being a mum or a dad or a carer in that situation might not be how they thought they would.
It's very true. And especially when it comes to the change of lifestyle that you can't begin to prepare yourself for. You have a conversation about, oh, we're going to get less sleep, or we're not going to be able to go out for dinner as much, or financially it's going to impact us in this way. But it's not even that. It's just a whole change of everything.
The strain on your relationship when you become a parent, I think, is the biggest test you'll go through.
100% agree.
And is really make or break. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I talk about how we've split our responsibilities 50-50, like, I've not got it together. A lot of the times I'm like, oh no, I've forgotten to put the kids in after school club. The amount of emails I send, like, please, can you take them today? Like, I don't have it together all the time, and often I'm dropping balls left, right and centre. But it's important to understand where those roles are and how we can, you know, communicate, and no one's going to get annoyed at the other person for not doing that.
Yeah, and it is hard, because when you are doing what you think is your bit, and you just, you know, your head's in it, rushing around with work, you're everywhere, it's easy to be frustrated at the other one, because you maybe in that moment feel like, well, I've done more than you, or and it's hard. You can almost see how it happens. Like my husband and I definitely have had moments where we don't recognize the person we've become and the way we're speaking to one another, because like that's not who we are. Thankfully we are able to talk that out maturely and usually most cases talk our way through it. But I can see how it happens, because particularly for women when they're recovering from, you know, that in those initial postpartum months, you are not the same person. You probably never will be ever again.
No, and I think that's okay as well. I remember going to meetings, you know, even now after having children, I feel like my brain just doesn't work the same, and I'll be thinking, I'm like, what was I going to say again? I know it's called baby brain, isn't it? But has baby brain ever really left me? I don't think it has. But on the flip side of that, I think mums, parents, but mums especially, surely they're the most employable people. The amount that you can get done and organise in a short time frame, now you have a newfound respect for motherhood and mums in work. And I wish that was supported more and thought by more people.
I agree, and I feel as if we are moving in the right direction in lots of ways, but sometimes I hear the odd story that feels like we've gone back 30 years, 50 years, 60 years, and I just think, oh, maybe we've not made as much progress as what we think. And I know there are obviously unbelievable influencers out there at the minute doing a lot of work in this space. Mother Pucker's, she's doing so much important work. And it's so frustrating to me to watch how much she's been trying to make progress over a number of years. And it does feel like she's still saying the same thing. It's like, how are we still in this situation? Now, on a smaller scale, like I run a business here. I'm not the owner of this business. I'm just the managing director. The founder is still very much involved. But he's let me lead on the decisions we make around working parents, policy, parental leave, etc. Because, well, for a start, he knows that my voice, it really matters, and that he probably understands that how he parents his children when his wife, you know, when they were raising their young kids, his wife didn't work. So his perspective on what the reality is warped. He knows that because he came to work, ran a business, and his wife was at home raising their children. That is an unbelievable situation. And it's not a real situation for a lot of people.
No, so not in today's world.
Not in today's world. So for me to be able to have my influence over those policies are really important. And I get a voice at a table, of which in many businesses, there isn't that voice at a table. There are still, you know, decisions being made without representation for the modern family.
Which ultimately is going to make people want to work for your business. It's going to attract great people because of that diversity and because of that empathy in coming to work and also having a family at home. And I think that's how all businesses should be, really.
Yeah, you would like to think. Yeah. But I do think we've got a long way to go still. Kat, what are your non-negotiables when it comes to parenting? So the moments that you really try and protect with your kids.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds awful, but there isn't many. I try to be as present as possible, but you know when you run your own business and you get emails, and I am on my phone more than I should be, and I'm trying to be better. But ultimately, the one moment that I do protect in the day is mealtime. So I'm very adamant that we all sit around the table and we all talk, and I think that has had so many benefits for our family. And we do something called, it sounds a bit cheesy, but we do family questions. So we'll talk about, you know, something great that happened that day, something that wasn't great that day, and, you know, something we're looking forward to. And it's just a way of, you know, getting the kids talking, thinking about their day, talking about their feelings as well. And they're not always going to be great feelings. So something negative that's happened that day and how they overcame that. And it sounds a lot more deep than it is. You know, I've got a 5-year-old. The highlight of a day is often a jack potato with beans at lunch. But it's about talking together and being present in that moment and having a cooked meal on the table. And, you know, it's not always a cooked meal. It could be a takeaway or something that's just been chucked in. But that is important to our family, and that's something that I'll continually try and protect.
I love that, because I actually was going to ask you about practical things that you're doing to somehow manage. And I think everyone's got small little things that they probably don't see as really important. So like you've just mentioned there about your family questions, you might see that as quite insignificant, but your children will always remember that.
Yeah,
And it will be something that when they grow up, they will think back to their childhood and they will remember. And you might not think of it as a big deal, but it is.
Yeah.
And it might only be 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But that's the bit they'll remember. They're not going to remember you rushing around after pickup.
Yeah, hopefully. And you know, it is important to them because kids, they love talking about themselves, don't they? So
don't we all?
Giving them that space to do that. And yeah, I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because I've mentioned before, I don't have it together a lot of the time. And particularly with me, with the academic year, I start and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make home cooked meals. I'm going to make healthy snacks. And then as the term goes on, it's slowly like, oh no, I forgot after school club. Quick, get a pizza from the shop because I've not thought about tea. So I don't want it to seem like I've got it together because honestly, every single day I'm winging it. And I think that's fine. Like my kids are happy, they're fed, they're lucky, they get to do all these lovely sports and they get to go to school and, you know, play with their friends, and we're so lucky, and it's okay to be a little bit scatty and have an untidy house and not have it together.
I couldn't agree with you more. Did when you sort of had your children, they're quite close together in age, right? So
18 months apart, yeah.
That was probably a quite intense few years for you, in terms of having two children and also going through your cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
Talk us through a little bit more around that time in your life and who you had to lean on and how you managed to get through it.
I feel like it's a bit of a warped memory, to be honest, because it was also COVID. So Carl was at home, which had its benefits.
Yeah.
But I also think I don't know how I did it, and I think I just kind of went through the motions at that point. Yeah, I mean, having two kids so close in age, like I look at mums now with two babies, I'm like, God, how is she managing that? And then I'm like, oh,
that was you.
I did that. Yeah. And they're fine. They're still here. So I did it. I did have, Carl was really great at the time. I have great friends. But yeah, I mean, I guess it was a tough time, and it was just at that point going through the motions, and maybe I've just kind of blocked out a lot of that. But yeah, with it being during COVID, there wasn't the nurseries, or there wasn't, you know, the family able to be helping. It's intense the best of times. And then you add in that layer, which is a world first in our lifetime, never to probably seen again in our lifetime experience. Like, it just goes to show how resilient human beings really are. And you are not giving yourself enough credit, because you just go, oh, sort of just did it. Like, that is pretty good going. I think anyone who's listening to this now that's, I imagine probably not going through something quite as intense, but in their own world, because you live in your own bubble, they will be going through things that feel incredibly hard. And the message that obviously you want to send, and this podcast particularly wants to send, is that you will get through it. But you can't and you shouldn't diminish how hard it feels at the time, because when you're in it, you're in it. And it is so brutal. It is. And I think, you know, we need to give ourselves more credit, and it is all relative. So whatever people are going through is important. And as you say, you know, there's always, you will get through it. You can do it. And being in the trenches of motherhood and whatever situation you're going through is hard. But ultimately we all come out the other end. And with a story to tell. I mean, part of what I've been through, I do think for my girls, especially having gone through that, I feel like I can say, you can do anything. Like, look what I've been through, and you can do exactly the same. You can start whatever it is that you're passionate about, and you can do it.
Oh, I really love that. Did becoming a parent change? Naturally, it does change how you see the world, but did it change your relationship with ambition in terms of what you wanted to achieve with your life? And did the direction of travel change?
I think I've always been quite ambitious. I think since becoming a mum, it's made me more driven to achieve my goals. It's also made me retrospectively regret all the things I didn't do before. I'm like, why did I not do this before I had kids? Because it is harder once you have to leave at a certain point, and your time isn't your own. So yeah, often I think, oh, I should have done that. I should have done this. But, you know, there's no time like the present, is there? So ultimately, I'm driven to create a better future for my family, and I'm sure most parents are on the same mindset with that.
And then that's a really interesting point you make there around becoming more driven, because I would say the same is for me, but the narrative seems to be that when you get pregnant or you're about to start a family, that actually you don't care about your work anymore. You don't care about your job because you're just going to be caring about your children. And obviously as a mother and as a parent, your children will come first every time, every single second of every single day. But the two can live side by side.
Yeah.
You don't have to choose one.
No, they can live side by side, and it's also fine to choose one. Like if you want to be at home with the kids, absolutely fine.
That's great for you.
Yeah, great. Or if you want to go to work and you can put your kids in childcare, great. But you can want to do both. It is harder. I don't think you like, as much as it's horrible to say, I don't think you can have it all. I don't think you can have it all at that time.
You can't, in my opinion, have it all and go to the gym and have a clean, tidy house and have your hair washed and have the food on the table on time. And they're the things for me that I feel gives. Whereas I think actually the work and the parenting part, I feel, I've got that bit.
I think
but my hair is very rarely washed.
Yeah. I think Emma Gree talks about that, doesn't she? So the three things, and something at one point is always lacking. Yeah. And for me at the moment, it is, my house and probably my health. Like, I'm not going to the gym or, but focus on the two things that are important.
And it's not forever.
No, exactly.
And like, they're not this small for ages. No. And it is important to still, if getting to the gym is really, really good for your well-being and keeps you on the straight and narrow in terms of mindset and focus, then you've got to make the time for it. You've got to find a way. But it's also okay to accept that that's just not going to happen this week.
I also really value my sleep. Like, I'd love to be that person that gets up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and goes to the gym. I just can't do it. I just snooze my alarm. And I'm like, I just love being asleep.
That was the content that I was getting served when I first got back from mat leave, because I was looking for answers. I was looking for someone to tell me it's okay to not want to do those things, because I previously used to go to the gym at 5 a.m. and I was like, well, I've just had a rough night. And I remember being served with lots of content of people getting up at 4 a.m. and that being the day. Yeah. Now, come on. Yeah. Like, come on, honestly. Like, okay, there are people like that. There are. But it's not normal. And it is not sustainable. So I think it can make you feel pretty crap about yourself.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, isn't it? Yeah. I think I listened to the 5 a.m. club and I was like, I can do this. Set my alarm for 5 a.m. the next morning. Nope.
It also depends on everything that's happened the night before. So you could have the best will in the world. I don't mind getting up early. But if my little one has had me up in the night, or ended up getting in our bed and therefore I don't sleep, it ain't happening. No. And in that moment, I'm going to make a decision that, you give up something else, which is in that moment typically us. And you said something really, really poignant earlier around, like, you're no longer the main character in your own life. And that is exactly it. It summarizes it so well, but you have to get comfortable with it pretty quick, because you can't find a way around that.
No, absolutely. And then when you're not comfortable with it, I think that's when the resentment starts.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So you're obviously a founder of a business. You work alongside your husband. When I was thinking about, you're a tech business, but what would you say the industry in your worlds is? So in terms of like, where does your business sit? In what industry?
So it's a good question. It's a lot of things really. Circular economy, green economy, and tech really. But I guess we've got two avenues really, schools, and we also work with businesses for their uniforms as well. So nice. We're at the point of scaling our business and growing our business. So we're doing lots of different things to achieve that. But I guess circular economy is the main one.
And how is it from a working parent perspective? Because obviously I know you appreciate you work for yourself, but within that industry, how is the conversation, or how does the conversation around working parenthood go? Are they typically good at supporting working parents, or not so much?
I don't think I've ever, luckily, had any backlash for being a parent in my business, or the conversations that I've had. I think if anything, it makes us more relatable. Ultimately, we're working with schools and parents, so it's kind of I'm
right
not preaching to the unknown.
It's right on brand. No,
Yeah.
I think that's it's a bit harder to answer that question when you are running your own business, because you make the calls, right? You will treat employees the way you'd expect to be treated, and it's probably how I feel about here. But typically in marketing, as an industry, particularly agencies, they're not great, because it's usually very young people coming through. There aren't hundreds of agencies with hundreds of parents within them, so it's not something we necessarily have to contend with. But I feel really strongly about making it known that I know you can be brilliant and still be a parent, and all of the skills that brings as well. So I think that's really important. If the system was designed by working parents rather than around them, what's the first thing that you would say should change?
If it was designed around working parents, well, I guess the hours of school would probably be the first thing. Because 9 till 3 or 8 till 3 or whenever they're at school is not the same as the working day, is it? I think the timings of school or childcare, and even the free childcare, the 30 hours, is designed around school hours, isn't it? And the working day don't marry up. And I think that's where a lot of the disconnect happens. Because ultimately, if your kids start school at 8:30 and you're in work at 9, then the time it takes to get to work already, that's a struggle. And leaving work in the evening, already that's a struggle to get. Even if you put them in after school club, if you finish work at 5:30, after school clubs often finish at 5:45. How do you get there in time? It's not designed for working parents, and I think that's the first thing that would probably have to change.
Because it hasn't changed in however many years since, as would be typical, mums were at home doing drop-offs, going home and then picking them up, and the system hasn't changed. The world though has, and I would agree that it's definitely not set up for us to succeed. And I think there is this assumption that people just have to make it work, and in a weird way, we do. We have, and it's almost that issue, isn't it? Because we're having to make it work. But people are just about surviving. Now,
absolutely.
You mentioned not having grandparents locally. We're similar. I'm far from my family, so we don't have any help there. And also my husband's parents are quite a lot older, so they're not really able to be as hands-on as I would love them to be, and they would love to be. This is not a choice thing. This is just an age thing, and we therefore don't have much help. We are genuinely considering having to move house back to where my family are, because we can't have another child until we know we've got that network of options for help, because we just travel too much for work and we have no backup.
Which is sad, isn't it? Because I know so many families have exactly the same story as what you've just said. They move to be closer to their family, and ultimately in today's world, both parents are often working in whatever capacity, but to have a one-income household just isn't sustainable and realistic for 99% of the families today. So something's got to change, really, hasn't it? And we shouldn't have to, both mums and dads, carry this burden and try and make it work at the detriment to what? Their sanity, their mental well-being, their finances.
Because the children aren't getting the best version
exactly.
either. And somebody wrote on my TikTok that I don't know why I ever really did it. It was a stupid idea. I started doing TikTok videos, and then you know what it's like on there. It's the Wild West. And somebody commented on one of my videos saying something along the lines of, it doesn't matter how much money you earn or how big you build your business or whatever it is, because your child won't even like you when they grow up. I was like, huh?
Based on what, though?
Yeah, sorry, what? Bear in mind, this person was called Dog Dave 96, with no profile picture. So I am very aware that I care very little about Dog Dave's opinion, but But more so like just the sentiment behind that comment is like, it didn't upset me because it means nothing. This individual means nothing. It's more that it made me think about like, this is how people see it.
Yeah.
This is how a lot of people see, particularly women who choose to build a career.
Yeah.
And how do we change that narrative? Not that particular comment, because ultimately there are always going to be people like him, but quite clearly there is still this sentiment very broadly about anyone that's choosing that isn't doing the right thing by their kids.
Yeah, but I mean, both my parents worked growing up, and my mum did 2 jobs at one point, and I don't remember her not being there. I remember the great time. I remember how much she worked to provide for us, and the nice things we might have done, whether it was just having a milkshake at the weekend somewhere or going somewhere. That's what I remember. I don't remember, oh, she wasn't there. Yeah. She was there, but she was also working, and I don't agree with the fact that if you work, your kids won't like you. And
no, I'm inclined to agree. Both my parents also worked too. What that taught me was a lot more than what it didn't teach me, or I felt I missed out on. Particularly my mum. Also, my parents were divorced, so she had a household with 3 kids. She did, she had to work. She did any job that she could. She was a driving instructor for a while. She worked in a call centre. She did whatever it took to feed her kids. What I remember, though, is the fact that she could afford to take us on holiday every year. And they weren't flashy holidays. They weren't
like
expensive.
caravan holidays.
We went on caravan holidays. We went to my grandparents had a place in Spain, which we were lucky enough to be able to go to once a year. That's what I remember. Yeah. She couldn't have done that without making that choice. So I too don't remember the her working, and I don't know whether it was a different time back then as well. We grew up in a cul-de-sac where there was probably 3 or 4 houses on the street with kids of very similar ages to us, and literally my mum could be at work and school would say, you're going home with Zoe's mum tonight, and we just go around there, she'd feed us, and then when mum got back from work at 7, she'd open the door and we'd pop. It was, we were lucky to have that. We don't have that in today's society.
And me and Carl were talking about this yesterday, the difference of our kids growing up now. Like, we all just used to play out, come back when it gets dark. No phones, just the thought of it, I need to know where my kids are all the time. I don't know how they did it, but that's just what everyone did, isn't it? And it's different. So I think there probably was a bit, I don't know if there was more community, but it was a different time. And that was just how we grew up, and it was great, really, wasn't it? I'm so glad we grew up without technology, to be honest.
Me too. And obviously with everything that's been going on around the social media ban. And I think when I think about what I want for my little boy as he grows up, I want him to grow up knowing he did get help from aunties and uncles, and he did get spend time with with grandparents that helped out in the summer holidays and things like that, because I'd be working. I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with it. I don't hold myself to sort of any standard around making sure that he remembers that I was always at every single drop off or pick up. I don't hold myself to that, because that's just not what's important to me. There are other things that are important to me.
And I think it's great that kids that have that, they have more people that care about them and love them, and them knowing that is great.
Yeah. So I think we've touched on quite a lot there around sort of like the perception of a child as they grow older and their memory of what it was like. And I saw something on social media a couple of weeks ago that really did stick with me. It was a really articulate, I think she must have been in her 30s, but I don't even think she was necessarily an influencer, but I think she started to build a bit of a personal brand. She was telling a story about why she's chosen not to have children. Yeah. And my algorithm served it to me as it would. I was just like, I'll listen to this. And she goes on to talk about how both of her parents were business owners, or I think maybe one of them had a big senior C-suite job and travelled a lot. But she spoke about the fact that she feels, although she has a good relationship with her parents now, she feels the reason she doesn't want children is because she felt like she had been neglected when she was a child. And obviously it did surprise me, the story she was telling, because I wasn't expecting it to go down that route.
Yeah.
And as somebody that's advocating very much for the other side of the coin, I was like, oh my goodness, am I misconstrued here?
Yeah.
And it was the first piece of content I've ever seen where somebody has said or provided that perspective.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, to be honest, it's sad, isn't it, that's how she felt, but that's her personal story, and that could have been her parents, and maybe she did feel that way, and maybe they were like that, but that doesn't mean that anyone in that job is like that. And I think that's what we need to remember. Every story is different, and if that's her path that she's choosing to take, absolutely fine. But I know that I'm doing everything I can for my kids that they don't feel like that. And yeah, every story is unique, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And sometimes you do just need to hear that, because the way that social media is and the way that the algorithm works is that you are very often served content like this because it's in this world that you're living in this bubble that you're living in. And just one thing that you see could end up sending you into a bit of a spiral, particularly if you're a new mum that's already questioning the role that you play in your child's life and how, you know, where you go from there with your career. If that landed in your lap at the wrong time,
absolutely,
it could be very detrimental.
Absolutely. I mean, I know so many mums, and they're all fantastic, whether they stay at home with their kids, whether they have huge jobs, whether they have 9-to-5 jobs. I mean, all of them are great in their own right. And I don't think where you work or if you work or how much you work impacts that.
No, you're absolutely right. We've spoken a lot today about how we're making it work, and that's great. But you've been very honest about the fact that you clearly don't have it all together. You know, we have to be very, very honest about that. But have you had any moments in your career, particularly I imagine in the early days of building your business, where you've seriously considered just walking away?
I mean, I work with my partner, so every day. No, but in all seriousness, I think it's really hard, and I think you hear it all the time. Keep going. Like, we see all this overnight success stories, but they're not overnight success stories. They're 10-year overnight success stories. It's just when we finally see them and we're made aware of them. Yeah. But there's a lot of hard work that goes into building a brand or a business, and it's really hard sometimes when you feel like everything's against you or just nothing's working out, and then something will happen and it will make you be like, this is why I'm doing it, this is great, someone believes in it, or you land a big contract, or you hear a great story from a customer and it pulls you back down to earth and you're like, keep going. So ultimately I don't think I'll ever stop.
I love that. And I think it makes me feel really good to know that you're so sure of yourself there as well. And I imagine that is because you're working alongside your partner all day and you know each other inside out. Yeah. You've probably been through the worst it can ever be. So you've overcome all those things. So,
I really believe in our business and really believe in what we're building. And I think that's incredibly important, to be passionate about what you're doing, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And what gets you out of bed in the morning, other than the fact that you've got to get up to go to work? Yeah. Like, what is it that about your work and about the fact that you're building this business, what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning?
I guess obviously going back to the passion of what it is I'm building, the people I work with are incredible, the whole team, and just working with, the schools and the clients that we work with, and that it's just, I just love it. It's incredible. I just love being able to work for myself. I understand how lucky I am to be able to do that. But ultimately, growing a business that you're passionate about, I think that's always going to get you out of bed in the morning, or gets me out of bed in the morning anyway.
Absolutely. And what's the version of success, would you say, that you're now chasing? So is it, getting the business to a certain size and scale in order to sell it one day? Is it just the freedom it provides you from a flexibility perspective? What does that version of success look like?
I guess that's changed for me a bit over the years, but now I have one sentence that I'm sticking by, which is I want to build a business that changes the world as we know it. in whatever capacity that
I've
looks
got little
like.
goosebumps there. That's such a lovely sentence. I mean, it's a sentence I've probably heard before, but it's the as we know it thing that I really liked, because the world is changing so incredibly fast. But we, particularly as sort of millennials, have a memory of what life was like, weirdly, almost at a certain stage. And right now it's very different.
Yeah.
So I really like
Absolutely.
that.
Thank
I really
you.
love that. Okay. Quick fire.
Okay.
5 questions, 5 answers, numerical only.
Okay.
I'll try and whiz them through as quickly as we can. But okay, on average, how many hours sleep do you get a night?
8.
Right. Stop. We're meant to be a quick fire. But if your kids are older now, right?
Yeah.
So that's
It's not right. So my 7-year-old didn't sleep for 4 years. 4 years. We ended up getting a double bed just so it was Carl most of the time because she wanted Carl, which, you know, oh dear. But she had sleep apnea, so it wasn't diagnosed till really late. But basically, her tonsils were so big that they were falling back on her in the night and waking her up, so it was stopping her breathing. It sounds a lot more serious than it is. Like it wasn't dangerous, but for 4 years she would wake up about 3 times a night. Didn't sleep for 4 years. But yeah, so she ended up having her tonsils removed, and she's fine now and she sleeps. But yeah, 8 hours. I would go to bed at the same time as my kids to get sleep in. I absolutely love sleeping. Also, I'm just always tired. So.
Yeah, and you know what? If that's what you need to do to survive, then you do you.
Yeah.
How many times have you asked ChatGPT for parenting advice in the last 12 months?
Oh my God, I actually don't think I ever have. I ask
good
ChatGPT a lot and I ask other parents advice, but I feel like you've just given me an idea. I don't think I've ever even thought of that.
Oh, I've got a whole thread. Like
Have
at this
you?
point, ChatGPT is raising my child.
Yeah.
I mean, probably more so than it should in terms of medical advice. But I think, why not? Like, do you know what it is sometimes for me? It just gives me a little bit of a wider context outside of my own world, particularly around sleep. And sometimes you can be so overconsumed by the content you served on social media that sometimes I need to take myself away from social media and just ask more broadly, what's the general rule around this?
Do you know what though? I will caveat with, if ChatGPT existed when I had babies, because it's only a very recent thing, isn't it? I would have been on it constantly. Yeah. Sleep questions, weaning questions, are they still breathing in the night question, you know, everything. I would have asked it a lot. But I feel like because I'm slightly past that. Yeah. I mean, I might ask certain sport related questions in terms of my kids.
Or trying to answer the homework.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I'm not at that stage yet, but I definitely will be using it for that.
Yeah, definitely same. How many times have you missed the memos from school or nursery during your motherhood that says, you know, wear yellow on Friday because of whatever?
I mean, probably 3 in the last week. I don't, honestly, I can't keep up with it. I constantly do it. Elsie, my eldest, had forest school last week and I forgot her forest school stuff. So I had to go back, get it and bring it back into school, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're working, or even if you're not working, it's still a pain in the ass, isn't it? Yeah. So all the time.
Yeah, that makes me feel better. I don't think I've ever remembered to dress him in the colour that he's meant to be in. But also, like, come on. Like,
there's a lot, isn't there?
Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It feels like it's all the time. But when I hand him over, I'm like, I forgot again. They sort of like laugh. I think it's the norm that people forget. I think the exception is that people actually remember.
Yeah.
How many things have you missed of your kids in the past year because of work? So like parents' evenings, school plays, anything like that?
Probably about 5. Yeah. I missed this class assemblies. I missed my youngest child, one of that, which made me sad, but Carl was there. So, and even if he wasn't, I don't think she'd have noticed. Which I think might have done for a minute. But
and for you, like you say, it's a minute. They're more resilient than you think, aren't they, kids? For sure they are. How many times in your career do you feel like you've been treated differently, or have you made choices differently because you're a parent, or have you not?
Probably maybe 20. Probably quite a few. I thought I was going to ask about a woman, then that would have been a much higher. But being a parent, I think I've surrounded myself with people in work that are in a similar position.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've had to as much as other people probably have had to.
Well, answer the question then if I was asking it about being a woman.
Thousands. Absolutely thousands through every single job. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a whole podcast.
That is a separate topic. And I mean, as much as I would love to sit here and talk about it, because I do feel like I could put the world to rights, that is somewhere I do think we're going backwards. And it doesn't help our cause when we're talking about working parenthood, because for me, it's all about readdressing the balance and being able to change the narrative that I talk about working parents. I don't talk about working mums because I want to change the conversation about the fact that it is everyone's responsibility. If we talk about working mums and working mums only, then people will forget to mention the role that the father or the other partner, you know, if it's the same sex couple, plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not against each other.
No. It's teamwork.
It's not a competition.
No, it's absolutely not. I've really loved our chat.
Thank you, I have too.
Good. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. I think the more stories, different perspectives I can get, the more valuable it's going to be. Yeah. And you know, there will be somebody that listens to this that even if they resonate with just 30 seconds of what we said, then that's a good job done.
Hopefully. I mean, we're all just winging it every day, aren't we? So
literally.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.